Getting ready to go on our first hike in Bryce.
How long?
8 miles.
8 miles.
Fairyland, the Fairyland Loop, they call it, where we're going to go see some hoodoos.
Lots of hoodoos. The best time to see the hoodoo. The best trail.
So the main hike that we did on day one, at least, was the Fairyland Loop. And if you're able to do this hike, it's going to take you a good chunk of a day, but it's going to be an experience that I think is probably one of the best ways to immerse yourself in Bryce Canyon. So this particular hike was a little over 8 miles, I think about 8.5 miles.
Yeah, so I mean, really prepare before you leave for this hike. You want to, first of all, you're going to see some amazing beauty, so don't forget your camera. And make sure you're ready for this hike with water. We use hiking sticks, so that's very helpful for us. So just think about what you need. The hike is on the longer side.
And not only longer than probably an average hike for a lot of folks, but the difficulty level is rated at moderate to strenuous. You do a bit of incline and changes in elevation on this hike, so that coupled with the length and depending on the time of the year, if you happen to have some heat, that can make for a day that will potentially tire you out.
We're in Utah, Bryce Canyon National Park on the Fairyland Trail? Fairy Trail. Fairy something Loop Trail. I think a tad over 8 miles. The park ranger said this one was going to be strenuous. A lot of ups and downs, so we'll see. We're going to take it for the test, but they said that this is a good one to see a lot of the hoodoos. So we're going to go see ourselves some hoodoos.
I think there's 2 different places that you can start this hike. So one is at Sunrise Point, and that's where we chose to start the hike. And I believe there's another place, it's like the Fairyland Lookout or something like that, which is another place that you could start.
Yeah, and there's several people that start there because it is actually outside of the park entrance, so you can enter the park without having to pay that fee.
So again, we started at Sunrise Point, and as soon as we made the walk from the truck to just past the trail marker, you walk, I don't know, 100, 150 feet or so, and then you're at the edge of this overlook of the amphitheater that's just breathtaking. So that was, I think, the first time that we saw the grandeur of this amphitheater.
Yeah.
Well, there's a view.
Gorgeous.
Hey.
Absolutely beautiful.
You know, the scenery along the way is just absolutely stunning. Among the things that you're going to see, there's a feature called Tower Bridge, which is 2 columns of stone, and there's a natural bridge that goes across. Very iconic. The trail is well maintained. It's wide enough where you're not going to have too many issues making your way. One of the things that I did, or that struck me as interesting, there wasn't a lot of hikers on the trail. We passed some folks through the hours that we were on the trail, but I don't know if it was even a dozen hikers that we passed on the entire way. So if you're looking for the kind of hike where you're going to be somewhat on your own, but not 100% isolated, this is going to be one where you're going to get a chance to enjoy this fantastic scenery without being in, you know, bumper to bumper people.
Yeah, a lot of people, from what I understand, I remember talking to one lady that started on the other side of the trail and then turned around and came back because she didn't want to hike the whole trail. She knew it was too long for her. So I think there's a lot of people that will go in, take a look, and then turn around and come back.
Yeah. Among the things that I remember on this hike was it seemed that around every turn that you took on the trail, there was something fantastic to see. So as much hiking as we were doing, we were probably doing as much filming and video photography, which takes me to my next caution and warning is, and I am 100% guilty of this during the whole hike, I would recommend do not hike and film at the same time as you're walking, because you're going to be on some of these trails where you're getting close to some cliff edges and stuff. And when you're in the moment, as I was, the GoPro is out and I'm walking and filming, and you had to remind me a couple of times of watch where you're going.
I was watching you.
Because there might have been an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, there was not.
This is absolutely magnificent. You can't put it into words.
And you talked earlier about the Hoodoos, and so you've got these fantastic formations, and within the formations there was some that start to take on the shapes of, you let your imagination run wild. We saw certain rock formations that, I remember one looked like an ostrich head, depending on what.
The castle one.
Mm-hmm.
It looked just like a castle.
Castles, fortresses, animals, so lots for the imagination to look at. Part of the landscape also, I remember we made a comment about looking like the Big Thunder Mountain ride at Disneyland.
I know that's where they got their inspiration, and had to have been.
So no roller coasters here. You do this whole hike by your own steam.
Okay, I think we're about halfway, 3 to 4 miles in on the Fairy Tale hike. We're at the top of a vista so far. I think it's been a pretty moderate hike. Yeah. We just passed one area that we had some uphill to do. But once you get up here, you're rewarded with these incredible vistas. Amazing. We got probably a few more miles to do. Yeah. But so far,
amazing.
A great hike. I'm going to see what's down the road as we continue. Coming across another bend on the hike. What do we have here? That drops down a ways. I don't know if you get quite the drop on the video or not, but trust me, that's something. Some heck of a drop. Amazing views. Stay away from the ledge.
So I remember we were probably halfway through the hike, and I believe the ranger had told us, this was going to get kind of toward the strenuous side. And, by the time we were halfway in, I was thinking, this feels pretty moderate. So, it was doing pretty good for us. We did stop and have lunch along the way. So, one of the things you probably will want to do, because this will be a several-hour hike, is do bring some food to enjoy along the way.
I'm guessing we're about at the last quarter of this hike. We're starting to get to a section. This is probably the first time that it's feeling a little bit taxing. We've got some uphill happening, a little bit more to go, going a little bit slower.
Well, I am.
Me too. Sipping the water. Here we go.
I think this whole hike, I know it took us over 5 hours, and while getting to the halfway point felt okay, once we started to get past the halfway point, that's when we started to get some incline that was starting to happen.
Yeah, it was very slight in the beginning. I think it was towards the end of the hike that it really, you felt it.
Yeah.
You started feeling a little bit of going up, a hill.
So most of this hike that we did, which I think was close to 8 miles. I'm not sure if that includes this rim trail that we have yet to do, but most of it felt pretty okay. The last quarter or so, uphill, and at the end of the hike, kind of taxed us a bit. We just went a little bit slower, but it's doable. If we can do it,
so can you.
Just look at us. I would say hiking poles. Don't do this without hiking poles. They make a big difference.
There's a couple times we stumbled and they saved us from going down.
Yeah, that and a good amount of water. This day we're here, it's about 75 degrees or so. The temperature's really fantastic. But I imagine if it was another 10, 15 degrees, I'd probably have at least double the water that we brought with us. We brought 2 liters with us.
2 liters, yeah. Have more.
Yeah.
A G plus.
I think we're at about 4 hours into this. So anyways, almost, we can see the parking lot from where we are, so just a little more to go.
And then we find the rim trail back to our truck.
Yep, here we go.
Bye.
So when you start to get to the end of this trail, at least from the direction that we came, it'll let you out on what's called the rim trail. So that's another trail there. And we would then have to take the rim trail to get back to Sunrise Point to get to our car. And I remember on the rim trail, I think when we started out on that, it was fairly level, and we thought, hey, this is going to be an easy jaunt back to the car. We'll just get to enjoy the views from the rim. And that fantasy lasted for, I don't know, half hour maybe-ish or so, and then we started to have some inclines on that.
Yeah, it was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be.
And not that the inclines at that point were large, but after we'd been hiking for close to 5 hours, we were, I think, ready to get back to the car.
But again, you started seeing these amazing views on when you got to the rim and you looked at those absolutely beautiful red mountains and the Hoodoos and the vistas. It was just gorgeous.
This is the nice path to end what's going to be an 8-mile walk. Full day.
Yeah, I feel it now. I feel the
Yeah, I feel it in my legs.
Yeah.
I bet I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Yeah, that's a good thing about hiking is you sleep very well.
I bet if we do something tomorrow, it's going to be a little bit shorter, huh?
Yeah,
Yep.
you gotta take it easy.
Yeah.
So the Fairyland hike, if you're able to do this, highly recommended. The visual rewards are incredible. Again, we found it to be not crowded. If you take this, some tips that we would leave you with: water, absolutely essential. We each had 2 liters apiece. So you'll go through a lot of water. Sunscreen, you're going to be better off with some of this on the exposed areas of your body. You'll want a hat to keep the sun off your face. Julie, you mentioned the trekking poles because of the elevation, and I think on the whole hike you do somewhere between 1,200 to 1,500 feet change in elevation during the hike. So the trekking poles do come in handy, and then again, bring some food with you, lunch, snacks. That'll give you some energy along the way too.
Energy, and it's just pleasant. You find a nice little place to sit and have lunch, and I think we're in kind of a dry riverbed that we found. It was very nice.
Very nice. So this hike took us a little bit over 5 hours to do the entire loop. Just for an idea, so we're not quite at 60 years old, but we're approaching 60 years old, but we were able to do this. We didn't have any problems. So if we can do it, if you're in decent enough shape, you might be able to do it too. We slept pretty well that night. And that's the Fairyland hike.